Thanks for joining us to the midday brief on Joy News. My name is Gladys Osei Oredu. In the next one are stories making headlines. In the officials of the Asogli plant call on government to pay debts owed for electricity supplied to the country. Teachers are still out of the classroom, but President Mahama pleads with teachers to go back as negotiations go on. And is Nanado a lawyer or not? Former president speaks on the issue. These plus wellness briefs and international coming your way in the next 1 hour. Stay tuned. Officials of the Asogli power plant have called on government to pay debts owed for electricity supplied to the country. The independent power producer has not produced any power since the West Africa gas pipeline was damaged and supply of gas from Nigeria halted. Officials told Energy and Petroleum Minister Emmanuel Kofi Amabua all outstanding debts must be paid before they resume operations on April 30.
It was his first official tour to the nation's power producers since assuming the position as Minister of Energy and Petroleum. Emmanuel Kofi Amabua first visited the offices of the Ghana Grid Company Limited, GridCo, where officials highlighted some challenges they wanted to be addressed immediately to enhance power distribution.
The current situation we have on the network is that there is a deficit of supply, arising essentially because of the gas pipeline rupture, which has disabled Asogli altogether, and then the mines reserve plant also for various of faults. A number of the parts are overseas for repairs. So we have over 200 megawatts of a shortage, and that's what's leading us into these challenges. Of course, any other additional contingency on the power plant, delayed fuel procurement, breakdown of the machines leads to additional challenges.
At the Volta River Authority, officials there brought the minister up to speed with the projects they were undertaking to add another 230 megawatts of power to the country's energy demands. This project is expected to be completed within 24 months.
We have met the first major milestone, which is the pouring of approximately 200 meter cube of concrete. This was achieved on the 4th of March this year. And we have other major milestones. There are 2 gas turbines. We plan to pour the second major concrete on the 26th of this month. After that, we are expecting that by July, the gas turbine itself will be on the foundation and the mechanical installations works will start.
The minister assured them of government support to see to the speedy completion of the project. At the Asogli power plant, production works had come to a total standstill following the absence of natural gas from the West Africa gas pipeline. Member of the board of directors of the Asogli power plant, Togbi Afede, appealed to the government to release monies owed the company.
Very sad that about 7 months since we stopped production, we are still owed for what we produced 7 months ago. We also would want better assurance going forward of prompt payment so that the company can be an effective partner of government in solving the energy problems of the country. You know, we also would want government to help secure our gas sources in the future. We want to be able to work with government to make the objectives of Ghana Gas Company become a reality.
The minister reassured officials that come April ending, the West African Gas Pipeline Company will resume gas supply.
We already know, and I have some good news, and one of the reasons we came was to let you know that we are really in touch with the West Africa Gas Company. We are really in touch with the suppliers of gas from Nigeria. We already have commitments that the project with the repair work is coming to a close, and that they even began some tests. We are still on that deadline they've given us that by the end of April, we should be sure of that work being completed. We've had assurances also that as soon as they are done, gas will flow. And that is very important.
The tour also took the minister and his entourage to the Achimota substation of the Electricity Company of Ghana.
Last night, Joy News reported that there was some armed robbery happening in Kumasi, and in a moment, I'm going to be joined on the line by my correspondent Nuruddin from Kumasi, who will be updating us on how the matter has been taken up by the national security. Hello, Mohammed.
Hello. Yeah, hello.
Hello, Mohammed.
Yeah, I can hear you. Hello.
All right, good afternoon. I hope you're well.
Yeah, good afternoon.
All right, could you update us on how the issue has gone so far, the armed robbery that happened last night?
Yeah, the Ashanti Regional Police on Monday started searching for criminals in the region, especially in the metropolis, in the Kumasi metropolis. And so far, they have arrested 150 armed robbers and suspected criminals, including 8 females. 8 females, and they will be arraigned before court. Some of them, about 70 of them, will be arraigned before court this afternoon. According to the police commander, these criminals were hiding at the abandoned affordable housing project at Aija in Sakari Mampong. So they were able to arrest them, and they're still searching for some of the criminals who have run away. You know, yesterday when the incident happened, the police said they were not able to arrest any of them, but in a short while, they arrested one of the criminals who attacked people at Aija State Junction last night. So the police are appealing to the general public that if they have any information about any criminals, locality, to report to the police immediately so that they can take it up. So the police were also able to retrieve 39 passports from these criminals, 16 rubber stamps, 3 locally manufactured 97 assorted mobile phones, 9 pair of slippers, and among other things, and then 3,816 Ghana cedis from the criminals. So that is exactly what the police commander is also appealing that if anything can be done about the abandoned project so that these criminals will be evacuated from the project, then it should be done now. He's appealing to authorities to do something about it so that these criminals can be evacuated from the abandoned project.
All right, Nuruddin, thanks so much for that update. Please stay put and bring us a lot more on how the issue evolves. So that was Nuruddin from Kumasi telling us about a group of armed robbers numbering about 30 who last night besieged Aija Tech Junction in the Kumasi metropolis and robbed several people of their money and properties. This incident, which occurred at about 7:30 p.m. last night, left several people with injuries. A team of policemen later came and took control of the situation. Eyewitnesses Kennedy Dramado and Adiza Musa also spoke to Joyce about how they saw it.
7:30 going that we are here, and we're working here at Tech, Sofolai, and Macro Tafo Station. And we heard that people were shouting, and would have run to us, and they say, I asked them, what is going on? They say, oh, there was an armed robber that coming from up there to Tech Junction. So that's why they were running. And I asked them, where did they coming from? So they are coming from up there. They were holding guns and then knives and everything. So some of them are on the bicycles and the motorbikes and everything. Through that, we have to save our passengers. So we let the cars, motorbikes. So we let our passengers board our cars. If not where you are going to, you have to board the car so the car can take you to the town. So that you can also drop the armed robbers. So that you won't be in the trouble. Because some of them are now coming from their market and their offices. So they have their monies and their phones and everything. So through that, since I'm also a channel, you have to order the vehicles to take them off. So we take them off. One lady was coming. We also have some money about 72 million. She also fell in the gutter here. So then I took her and also took her to some vehicle. The vehicle also drive her away. Did they take the money? No, they didn't take the money because she was afraid that they would take the money from her. So through that, then she also was running before she fell in the gutter. So I was the one who picked her from the gutter. Those who are selling their kenke, rice, those who are selling this chicken garment, all of them ran to this place.
So we understand there were how many were there?
Oh, there are about 35 people. 35 people, armed robbers, yes. They were holding guns and then knives, and then some of the guns are pumping gun, and then some of them too are pistols. Now here they were shooting, giving one shots, seriously. If I really had, I had about 40 one shot. I had nobody was killed. And they didn't injure anybody.
Yeah, see who ya see a man for be free American idea near sorry free near my who Johnny. See Jano Corso honey idea we answer 2 to 2 has senti. Midday dear a chime cocoa as cram by not as a police cage in a high D. And I'm assuming about Tom Addy. Maybe police cars need their normal doors. Our robbers need no more in staying to me and who would do 2 and I'm at say me who.
The police has resumed a clampdown on commercial motorbike operators, also known as Okada. This follows latest directive from the Transport Minister that the police should arrest the operators as well as their passengers. Head of the Motor Transport and Traffic Unit MTTU of the Ghana Police Service, ACP Angubutoge Awuni, says a number of culprits have been arrested since the directive, but says some highly placed persons may be behind attempts to frustrate their clampdown. Marian Turi has more.
Police say 76 Okada operators in Accra and an additional 67 in Tema have been arrested in the latest clampdown in the last 2 days. The impact of the clampdown was evident at the Kolebu Hospital bus stop, a hub of Okada operations. It was virtually deserted except for a few diehards.
We should be, setting some kind of standard within our own selves and then looking for some kind of people, even if we can even have a committee within among us. I think that committee will go in with a uniform which will actually help us to get the bad ones. If there are some people even on the street riding rough, I think we will know them. Those who ride rough and those who doesn't do the right thing at the right time. And then the government can actually use us to cause those guys arrest if really they are doing the wrong thing.
Samuel, a patron, also believes the law is unpopular.
I don't think they should be arrested for alienating because somehow or one way or the other, it has cut down unemployment in this country, and I think it's helping a lot. Because me, for instance, I like joining the Okada because it serves me a lot, and I think they should rather form some kind of stations for them so that they will rather operate instead of taking them out of the system.
Meanwhile, ACP Awuni says enforcement of the law has been a challenge because of vested interests.
The information that is even filtering to us is that people have stopped buying taxis and they are buying motorbikes because the cost of one car can buy 10 motorbikes. And the money they make out of the motorbikes far outweighs what they make out of taxis. So people are now leaving the taxis, polluting our air. The exhaust fumes and the cancerous nature of all these things must be taken into consideration. And I'm even told that there are some big people, influential people, who want to lobby and then take away the law just because they want to make money at the expense of the health of the citizens of this country. I think that is wrong.
He, however, assures the police will continue with the clampdown until they rid the streets of all the operators. A report by Marian Ture.
Ghana's former president John Ejiokum Kufuor has said he will appoint Nana Akufo-Addo as Attorney General and Minister of Justice again and again if he had the opportunity to do so. His spokesperson Frank Ejiokum, speaking to Radio XYZ News, says as far as President Kufuor is concerned, Nana Akufo-Addo is a qualified lawyer and he served him, Kufuor, on that basis.
Frank Ejiokum further noted that as far as President Kufuor is concerned, Nana Addo is a highly qualified lawyer who practiced not only in Ghana but also abroad, and he is acknowledged worldwide as one of the best lawyers Ghana has, adding that he is surprised at the suit because he knows there were very many times that Justice Kwega himself must have dealt with Nana in court in one way or the other. Former President Kufuor's reposition of confidence in the main opposition New Patriotic Party's 2012 flag bearer as a competent lawyer of international repute came in the heels of a suit filed against the former Attorney General and Minister of Justice by former Acting Chief Justice, Justice F.Y. Kpega, who is challenging Nana Akufo-Addo's qualification as a lawyer. In the writ filed by the former Supreme Court Justice on Tuesday, March 19, 2013, Justice Kpega indicted former President Kufuor for appointing Nana Akufo-Addo to serve as his chief legal advisor while in office between 2001 and 2008. He averred that Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo was impersonating W.A.D. Akufo-Addo, who is on the roll of lawyers as number 1190. Among the 7 reliefs being sought by Justice Kpega is a declaration that on a true and proper interpretation of the General Legal Counsel Act, Act 38 of 1960 as amended, unless a person is called to the bar in Ghana and his name entered in the roll of lawyers by the body mandated under the said Act 38 to regulate the training and certification of persons after a prescribed course of study, that person cannot be deemed competent to practice law in any court of Ghana. Besides seeking the High Court to declare Nana Akufo-Addo ineligible to practice as a lawyer in Ghana, Justice Kpega is also praying the court to close down Nana Akufo-Addo's chambers by declaring that the law firm established as Akufo-Addo Prempeh & Co. at 67 Kojo Thompson Road at Abraka, Accra, is an illegal law firm and therefore not competent to represent any party in litigation before any court in Ghana. Additionally, the former Acting Chief Justice has prayed the court to put a perpetual injunction on Nana Akufo-Addo, restraining him from holding himself out as a lawyer competent to practice in the Ghanaian courts or anybody regarding him as such.
Yesterday on Current Affairs program PM Express, the issue of whether or not Nana Addo is impersonating one W.A.D. Akufo-Addo was examined. Host Steve Ante hosted Greater Accra Bar Association President Frank Davis and member of NDC legal team Victor Kojoga Adawudu.
I believe that this case, even by the time it gets to direction where interrogatories you answer some questions, the man says that I am the one who is William Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, and the man says that I am that. That ends the matter. He can tell you, be very frank and honest, that people were called in other jurisdictions who came here, they were not called and they were practicing. Even the General Legal Counsel had problem with them. Even in some cases I was doing with some other lawyers, the Chief Justice wrote that, look, this person has not been called, so no court should give him audience, right? Because they were called in different jurisdictions, they came here, they have not been called, and they were practicing. It's an issue that had come up, and I think that, listen, it has come. Let the court look at it and put a final and a firm seal to it and say that, look, he has been called, this is his name, is on the roll call. And we think that this writ that has been brought, there's no merit in it.
It's a bit worrying. Like I hear you, I am the president of the Greater Accra Bar, and this should be worrying to me. You see, but I find it very distasteful that Justice Kpega would say that he was the chairman of the General Legal Counsel by virtue of the demise of G.K. Akwa. He became the chairman of General Legal Counsel sometime in 2008. And if indeed he became suspicious of Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo's license as a lawyer, he looked on from 2008 until he exited the bench and looked on for this man whom he was suspecting not to be a lawyer to practice before him and pay glowing tributes to him. Now that the man is charting his political course, then you come up with this writ. I would really wish that Justice Kpega would pursue this writ to the end. You see, these things should cease. You see, let's elevate our political and legal discourse to a certain level and let people see that we are doing very distinguished things in this country. You see, these things do not take Ghanaians anywhere.
We shift our focus to the northern region. Ex-coordinator of the National Disaster Management Organization, NADMO, says the recent disasters in the northern region have reached an alarming proportion and demands urgent attention and international support. DCOP Douglas Akrofie-Siedu said NADMO has been completely overwhelmed by the situation and the government must urgently step in with a roadmap to ameliorate the situation. Scores of people have died and over 10,000 people displaced in severe rainstorm that has hit parts of the northern region in recent weeks. On Monday, 4 traders were confirmed dead after a rainstorm swept through Walawali in the West Mamprose district in the northern region. Several others sustained varying degrees of injuries. The Meteorological Service Department says the region is yet to experience the rainy season, which means the situation is likely to deteriorate. Joy News correspondent Hashmin Mohammed reports help is yet to come to the thousands of victims, even though several distressed calls have been made to the authorities. Akrofie-Siedu told Joy News the Ministers of Finance and Interior must be involved in order to find an immediate solution to the problem before it escalates any further. He said it's also time to get international donors on board to help. We catch our breath here. We are back. Government has, in line with its promise to ensure the West African Senior Secondary Certificate examinations are carried out irrespective of the ongoing strike by some teachers in the country, has directed all regional coordinating councils, metropolitan, municipal and district chief executives to liaise with their respective district directors of education and district coordinators of national service to ensure that the examinations take place as scheduled. In a statement signed by the Minister of Information and Media Relations, Mahama Ayariga, government also appealed to teachers to rescind their decision not to carry out their teaching assignments and to return to the classrooms to teach. The West African Senior Secondary Certificate examinations are proceeding as planned without any hindrance. So far, several practical examinations have been conducted with appropriate invigilation. The statement added, government is still awaiting the response of the Ghana National Association of Teachers, NAT, who requested for time to discuss with the National Association of Graduate Teachers, NAGRAT, the outcome of the Sunday, 17 March 2013 meeting held between government and educational workers' unions, during which government had extensive discussions with them on all the issues raised as a basis of the strike. While government awaits the response of the unions, an appeal is being made to teachers to rescind their decision not to carry out their teaching assignments and to return to the classrooms to teach. Relevant agencies of government are working towards addressing their concerns. President John Dramani Mahama has called on striking teachers to reconsider the timing of their action and return to the classrooms whilst their grievances are being addressed. He was speaking with student and youth groups who called on him at the Flagstaff House yesterday.
And I'll use this forum to, now that I'm talking about teachers, to appeal to our teachers, to call off the strike and go back to the classrooms. I know that various groups of organized labor have different complaints that they have. But I think that the complaints are better dealt with in an environment of dialogue rather than an environment of intimidation. And often when that happens, it is the children who suffer. The timing is absolutely wrong. The children have started their exams, and we need the teachers there to guide them, not only to guide them, but also to invigilate the exams to ensure that the integrity of the examination process is not compromised. And I think that they should have a thought for that and put the nation's interests, above their own professional interests or personal interests, and go back to the classrooms while we get the Fair Wages Commission to deal with any grievances that they might have.
Meanwhile, students and other groups have told government to conduct an empirical search into the cycle of youth and graduate unemployment. The groups made up of the National Union of Students, Law Students Union, Ghana National Union of Polytechnics, Ghana Union of Professional Students, as well as the Unemployed Youth Association, among a host of others, were at the presidency to interact with President Mahama. President Mahama called for partnership with the youth in national development. He said, as a measure to increase the skills of the youth, government would revamp all the youth leadership skills training institutes dotted across the country to equip more youth with the requisite skills to start their personal enterprises. He called for constructive criticisms and advice that could help government accelerate national development. Spokesperson of the youth groups, Prosper Huet, appealed to government to take immediate steps to end the current teachers' strike action to safeguard the future of Ghanaian school children.
We recall that in your address on the State of the Nation, you announced the launch of a 10 million Ghana cedi Youth Jobs and Enterprise Development Fund to support young people to become successful entrepreneurs and create sustainable job opportunities, and the establishment of job enterprise centers in all the regions to help unemployed youth and those who are about to enter the world of work to prepare. Much as we appreciate this initiative and we are willing to support government in this regard, we are of the view that the youth unemployment situation requires a much more comprehensive strategy. While these programs are implemented in the short term, we wish to suggest that His Excellency commissions a comprehensive empirical study into the youth unemployment situation, which will better inform policy and strategy in this regard to help address the problem. Our brothers and sisters in senior high school are worried about the ongoing industrial action by teachers. While we appeal to teachers to exercise restraint, taking into account the effect of their strike action on students in the ongoing West African senior school certificate exams, we also call on government to manage the situation so that it will not affect students.
One of the major problems we have is not that our economy is not growing. Our economy is growing, incomes are improving, but they are not improving at the rates at which population growth is taking place. And so while we're making progress as a nation, we're not making it as fast as we should to convert that progress into opportunities for our people. And so we need to think together and think through and see how we can make that growth convert into jobs and opportunities for our young people. One of the things we've been doing is to create the legislative environment that allows this to happen. And that's why, as soon as we came into office, we started working on the youth policy. Thank you very much.
President John Dramani Mahama has been initiated into the former Parliamentarians Forum. The group's activity includes sensitizing organizations to ensure that Ghana never returns to the dark days of military rule. They pledged their support to government and encouraged President Mahama to remain focused in dealing with the numerous challenges that confront the country and make the lives of Ghanaians better. President Mahama, in accepting his initiation, debunked the notion that there could ever be a coup d'etat again in Ghana, adding Parliament is the institution which suffers most in times of military takeovers as against the judiciary. He said there was a need to nurture and ingrain Parliament as an institution. He expressed hope that the forum will serve as an advisory body to government. The composition of the non-partisan group is members who have served in Ghana's parliament about 16 years ago.
You have membership from all the political parties in Ghana, and we don't talk partisan politics. So we are here today as a group of people who have been in the parliament before and had contributed a lot to the national development. And we are here to congratulate you on your assumption of office as President of Ghana. The objective of this forum is to contribute to the promotion and strengthening of parliamentary democracy in Ghana in particular and Africa in general. We are resolved that we, the people of Ghana, we are not going back ever to the dark days of military rule. And we are doing everything possible to create awareness about the virtues of parliamentary democracy. We are also a group which want to cater for the welfare of former members of parliament. And that is natural enough.
The fact that one has served in parliament and left does not mean that one's usefulness both to parliament and society is at an end. I came into parliament in 1997 and started on the backbench like everybody else and worked my way gradually, towards the front bench. I think that I have met so many people and so many intelligent people. Debates on the floor of the House have been fantastic, and it has advanced the democratic culture of this country. If today Ghana is being called the model of democracy in Africa, it is to a large extent because of the strength of the parliament that we have. I don't believe that we can have any return to the dark old days. I was reading the papers today and somebody was talking about a vision of coup d'etat. I reject it. It shall never happen. And by God's grace, it will never happen again. We believe that our people would reap the dividends of democracy. They're beginning to see it already in terms of the advancement we've made since 1992. Every government comes into office and contributes its quota to moving this country forward. Since a long time ago, Ghana has seen progressive growth in GDP, and currently we expect to grow averagely by 8%. We expect that this growth will translate into jobs, it will translate into better standards of life for the people. But as I've always said, all of us must contribute our quota to make it happen.
Still at the presidency, some representatives from the country's fishermen were today at the Flagstaff House to impress upon government to ensure fishing inputs meant for artisanal fishers get to them on time to prevent an imminent decline in fish stocks. The group of London beach committees were at the presidency because, according to them, they had been misrepresented by an earlier group which also called on the president.
The fishermen, numbering about 200, said the visit was necessary to redeem their image. They spoke about other challenges hindering their operations.
We further addressed the major problem of intermittent, insufficient flow of premise fuel distribution to motorized canoe fishermen, which had gone a long way to reduce the level of fish basket in the industry. Furthermore, certain absentee fishermen who have sold themselves to be the mouthpiece of the fishers, who are not fishermen, paraded at your office to give false image of fishing industry. The landing beach concept had helped the fishers tremendously, and it is hoped the President will support to increase the implementation of the land beach concept. We humbly appeal to the President to come to our aid and ratify the situation for us.
President Mahama assured them government will do more to address the challenges they face. Part of the solutions, he said, was the decision to maintain the price of premixed fuel in the recent hike.
The store has been having some problems. We're having to import the premixed fuel, and that is what creates some shortages sometimes. Sometimes there are technical problems in offloading the ship and so on and so forth. But we're trying to streamline all these things so that the flow of the product will be smoother and you'll be able to get the premix to be able to do your job. We'll continue to use the landing beach committees as the focal point because that is where the fishing activity takes place. And we know before we resorted to the landing beach committee system, we know what used to happen to the premix fuel. And the point we are making as government is that give the product to the people themselves and let them manage the distribution of the product.
The president said governments will streamline the flow of premixed fuel, but urged them to observe safety precautions in their work to prevent the disasters.
Away from the presidency, the emerging oil and gas industry is believed to have the potential to transform the structure of the economy from the production and export of primary products to a diversified industrial economy. To ensure that this dream is fulfilled, an environmental baseline survey was carried out by the Environmental Protection Agency in some water bodies in the country. The results of this survey was disclosed in a meeting held earlier today.
With the advent of oil and gas in Ghana, there are general concerns that the new industry might pollute water bodies, as is the case in other countries. The Environmental Protection Agency, along with other organizations, undertook a strategic environmental assessment of oil and gas development in Ghana in order to establish and maintain good environmental conditions for the industry. Deputy Executive Secretary of the EPA, Samuel Anku, at a meeting in Accra to disclose the findings of the study, said the study is the proof of government's commitment to ensure a clear understanding of what the relevant issues facing the industry are, and also to enable a systematic approach of handling those issues.
The results of this survey, which we are disclosing today, would enhance the understanding of the nature and extent of how the offshore oil and gas activities can affect the marine ecosystem. The survey results will also contribute to valuable information, especially on the benthic communities, that's the sea bottom communities, and levels of contamination by hydrocarbons and heavy metals in the sediments.
A team from the Institute of Marine Research in Norway led the survey exercise. Among the discoveries made during the exercise were some strange sea creatures, which included the swimming sea cucumber. A member from the IMR team stated that the nation's coastal environment is in good condition and there is the need to educate people living close to those environments to keep it protected.
We hope that things will be stable, but to keep it stable, I think it's important to have a monitoring system and watch what is going on so that we can give a feedback to the companies and tell that it may be necessary to do adjustment of the procedure to protect the environment.
The survey also revealed that Ghana has a very important marine resource which needs to be protected.
Before this survey, we thought we had a dead coral reef which has died several years ago. But this survey has revealed that in the western part of the offshore environment of Ghana, we now have a coral reef, which is an important marine resource, which we'll have to protect. So that has brought, let me say, something that we will have to take steps, even in the international arena, to protect.
The monitoring exercise would be carried out every 3 years to ensure that conditions either remain the same or are improved.
The results of the survey was actually announced yesterday and not earlier today, as I earlier announced. Residents of Kumasi in the Prestia Valley district of the Western region are to be resettled by Golden Star Bogoso Prestia Limited following the completion of the negotiation process between the company and the community, which will allow mining operations to begin. Western regional correspondent William Benjamin Peters, however, reports some residents are still dissatisfied about the resettlement package. Dumase is a community located in between Bogoso and Prestia in the Prestia Valley district of the Western region. Majority of the people, especially the youth, are into small-scale mining, while some are into farming activities. The relocation became necessary because Golden Star Bogoso Prestia Limited found the need to mine close to the community. The initial agreement was for the community to be resettled by September 2007. Work has already begun on the new site on the Bogoso to Kumasi road. It will be known as New Dumase and will have about 680 residential buildings, 14 churches, schools, markets and other structures. Each household will also be supplied potable water and electricity. Members of the resettlement negotiation team, led by their legal counsel, Kwestijima Bota, addressing members of the media at Dumase, expressed their contentment with the package and denied reports suggesting otherwise. Meanwhile, a section of the youth in an exclusive interview with Joy News expressed dissatisfaction with the agreement, especially in the area of employment, explaining that they would want to be directly employed by the company.
They open a form for those that they are contractors in Kumasi here to come and write their name or to register. When it is time, they will call them to come in. But when it is time for the tender, that one, they don't open it. The tender document always go to those that they belong to the, the committee, you see. So all those that they are working there, they all belong to the committee.
Bringing you wellness, many people, both old and young, suffer from nose bleeding. Today, we bring you courses and tips on how to manage nosebleeds when you find yourself in that situation. News agency says Al-Qaeda's North Africa branch has killed a French businessman captured in Mali in 2011, and Barack Obama arrives in Israel for his first trip there as U.S. president amid protests and tight security in Israel and the Palestinian territories. In sports, the Asantehene Otumfuo Osei II will host Ghana's Black Stars at a dinner on Thursday before facing off with Sudan in the 2014 World Cup qualifier in Kumasi on Sunday. It's David Beckham in Beijing to begin his new role as a special ambassador for Chinese football. Find out in Sports Brief.
The dinner date, which is scheduled for the seat and official residence of the Asantehene, the Menchia Palace, will have the entire Black Stars team and handlers at the event. During the 2013 AFCON, the overlord of the Asante Kingdom was supposed to visit the Black Stars in Nelspruit ahead of the semi-finals clash with Burkina Faso in fulfillment of a promise made them. But their busy schedule, which included the visit of the Vice President of Ghana, curtailed the visit. The Black Stars will now have the opportunity to dine with their #1 supporter on the soil of the venue of Sunday's match. The Asantehene earlier visited the team ahead of their first game in this World Cup qualifying campaign, and they went on to thrash Lesotho 7-0 in June last year. Ghana midfielder Sule Muntari has revealed his team during the 2013 Nations Cup. Muntari is one of the star names expected to line up for the Black Stars when they take on Sudan in a crucial 2014 World Cup qualifier on Sunday.
For the first time, DJs in Africa are going to have an award scheme that is seeking to reward them for their hard work and good contribution towards the music industry in Africa. And Samini has dropped his new video for Body Flame. Stay tuned. The organizers, come May 4, both fans and nominees will have a lifetime treat in South Africa, as there will be lots of music and fun.
Because it's something that we think it will grow to the next generation. Maybe we're not going to be here around to even see maybe it bigger than what we started, but it's very dear to us, and we put in everything we've got to make sure this happens.
It's looking very good. A lot of the DJs from around Africa are already emailing us about, logistics, hotel travel. They're already excited. They're already telling their fans to vote. They're going to be in South Africa. So, and in South Africa, like Mr. Mohammed said, is pretty much gearing up for, for a storm.
To have your favorite DJ sweeping awards during the ceremony at the Sandton Convention Center, Johannesburg, South Africa, go on to the website of the awards and cast your votes. On that note, we would end today's midday briefing. But before we go, a recap of our headline stories. Officials of the Asogli power plant called on government to pay debts owed by electricity to the country. Teachers are still out of the classroom, but President Mahama pleads with teachers to go back to the classroom as negotiations still go on. And is Nanado a lawyer or not? Former President Kufuor spoke on that issue. Thanks so much for your time. Do join us again at 2 p.m. for our joint news briefing. My name is